And my beautiful bookish babes and besties, we are now officially halfway through September, which means I can confidently say it is fall time. I know some people really don't want to let go of summer, but I have always been a fall girly. I'm wearing my fall shirt. I got your back. And he's got his back. I don't know. It's stupid. It's cheesy. But anyways, that means we can do my fall hopefuls. I do not want to call it my TBR because who knows if I'm actually going to get around to reading any of these books. But it is a very eager hopefuls list. This is a very long list. I don't think I'll realistically get around to all of these. So I still wanted to share some books that are going to be on my mind, and hopefully I will get to read this fall. Some are older, some are newer, some are more hyped up than others. Sorry, I'm like obsessed with fixing my hair. But with that being said, I would love to get started. I'm going to be referencing my laptop because I have the memory of a goldfish, as we all know. And I would like to, not mix things up. I like going into books blind, so I'm sorry if this is a totally vague video for you. I'm just kind of trying to rapid fire books that I'm hoping to read this fall. So first and foremost, I'm going to go pretty basic. I love reading thrillers, mysteries during the fall. And so my first two are going to be two Frieda McFadden books that I have not read yet. They are on Kindle Unlimited, so I love that. But it is The Housemaid. I have not read that one yet. And I know everyone and their mother has read that one, so I would love to get around to reading that. In addition to Ward D by Frieda McFadden. And all I know about Ward D is it takes place in like a hospital or like a mental health ward, and something bad is going on within the walls. But Frieda McFadden is usually like I can read it in 1 or 2 sittings, so I think those 2 books will be great to just churn out super quick this fall. Next, I have The Host by Stephenie Meyer. And I personally have never read this book. And I know it's a movie and I love the movie, but I never read it. Next is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. I know this one's on Kindle Unlimited, so that's a plus. But I don't know a lot about this book, so I'm just going to kind of read the synopsis. Okay, so based on the synopsis that I just kind of read, I know that it is enemies to lovers kind of fantasy. The next one, another one that's blowing up quite quickly on Book Talk, is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I don't know a whole lot about this book because I want to go into it blind, as book talkers are recommending, but I do know it has to do with like alchemy and fae, and it has like a really cool magic system, and so I think that it would just feel really cool to read in the fall. So there's that one. Next one is a classic that I've never read or seen or watched because I know it's a show, it's a movie, but it is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I'm sorry if I said that wrong, but The Time Traveler's Wife. All right, so next is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. I know it's like YA, like romance, and I know that it's like supposedly really sad. So I don't like reading sad books all the time, but I feel like maybe on a gloomy fall day, I might just be in the feels for a sad book or a good cry. If you just heard that plane, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Filming a video. All right. Next is Autumn's Tithe by Hannah Parker. I don't know a whole lot about this book. I know that it is a fantasy book. Next is Pride and Premeditation by Tirzah Price. Now, I've seen mixed reviews for this book online, but I am a huge fan of Pride and Prejudice, so I want to give this a go. Like, I want to give it my shot and form my own opinion on it, because I know this is Pride and Prejudice meets murder mystery, and I feel like that just screams fall to me. Next, we have To Kill a Shadow by Katherine Quinn. I believe this is a YA fantasy. So Jude Maddox knows nothing of love or even light. He only knows his grim duty as the Hand of Death, to lead the Knights of the Eternal Star into a land filled with nightmares and certain demise. It's only when he sees her, a young woman with wild amber eyes who's as fierce, defiant, and swift as the shadow beasts themselves, that he feels the warmth of life in his blood. Next, I'm super excited for this one. The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Breanne Randall. So this was advertised to me as Practical Magic meets Gilmore Girls, and I am a huge Gilmore Girls fan. So that's really all I know about it. So it's like witches plus like the coziness of Gilmore Girls, I'm hoping. And so that just screams fall to me, because, you know, Gilmore Girls totally fall, Practical Magic totally fall. Put them together in a book version, sold. Here's my credit card. Next is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Now, I don't know a whole lot about this book, but I do know that it's like one of the classics of like dark academia, mystery, gothic kind of vibes. Oliver Marks has just served 10 years in jail for a murder he may or may not have committed. On the day he's released, he's greeted by the man who put him in prison, Detective Colborne, and he's retiring, but before he does, he wants to know what really happened a decade ago. That one's on Kindle Unlimited as well, so if you're interested in reading it. Next is the book that is very controversial on Book Talk, but I want to give it a shot and form my own opinion, and everybody knows it, but I want to read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. All right, especially since Reckless came out not too long ago and everybody was so excited for it. I feel like I have FOMO, so I really just want to hop on that train and read it myself. Next book is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. This is a mystery thriller, I believe. And I was really excited to read this book. However, one of my best friends, Mackenzie, she said it was very predictable, and her and I usually have very similar opinions and very similar tastes in books. So now I'm a little nervous that I'm not gonna like it because she didn't like it, but I still want to read it and form my own opinion. I'm just a little more nervous than I was before going into this book. Another one that's on Kindle Unlimited is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Now, I've heard mixed reviews on this because it is about the psychological effects of a teacher-student relationship. So I know it's very dark and it's very heavy, and it's caused a lot of people kind of anxiety. So I'm going to go into this very carefully, but I do want to try reading this because I think that it will have, I don't know, I think it'll have some weight to it. Like, it'll make me feel strongly a certain way. And I do want to advertise, like, this is not a romance. This is like a contemporary fiction, because it's supposed to be going into like the psychological trauma aspect of this teacher-student relationship. But yeah, I really want to read that book and form my own opinion on it. Next is These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, another YA fantasy. It's A Cruel Prince meets A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I loved both of those books, and so I'm extremely excited to dive into this one. I know that I think it's part of a series, but I don't know a whole lot about the plot. But fantasy just seems like a really good fall read. Next is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book, mostly because he's got really large series that I'm scared to commit to. And everyone that I spoke to told me like Tress of the Emerald Sea is a very quick read. It's very easy to get into, so it might be a good leeway into Brandon Sanderson and his world of writing. So I think I should give it a shot. Next is another dark academia book. This is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I know this is like quintessential dark academia, murder mystery, all of the Bricks and Ivies, collegiate vibe, all of that stuff. And I have been wanting to read it for a long, long time, but never gotten around to it. So hopefully this fall it will happen. Hopefully. Next is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. And I know this is a cozy mystery / fantasy / sapphic romance. So I think this book is just all about the cozy vibes because it's like a bookshop / tea shop / sapphic romance. It's just supposed to be like a big warm hug, cuddly blanket, and a warm cup of tea in your hands type of feel. My next book is very basic. Everyone and their mother and their grandmother and their great-great-grandmother has spoken about this book, and it is Butcher and Blackbird by Breanne Weaver. All right, so because Leather and Lark came out, and I still haven't even read the first one, so like I said before with Powerless, I feel FOMO. So I feel like this fall, why not read a romance between serial killers who kill other serial killers? Why not? Right? All right, my next one is probably the one that I'm most scared for, but I know I just have to do it. But it is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, but I know that it's sad. I know that it's traumatic. It's thick, but supposedly like everyone wants to just highlight and annotate the whole book because there's just that many beautiful lines in it. So I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. Next is another YA fantasy by Tracy Wolff. It's Sweet Nightmare. And I just know that this is like a school where a bunch of paranormal creatures go. I think, well, because I read her series, the Crave series, which is like a different school where paranormal creatures go. So I don't know how this one's different. Let me check. This one is about the rogue paranormals. So I guess everybody thinks they're the stuff, or they think they don't need anybody, so maybe they're edgier. I don't know. Next is The Coven by Harper L. Woods. I know absolutely nothing about this book except that it has vampires, and vampires are my guilty pleasure. If it has vampires in it, I am there. I'm sold. I will buy it. They can take my credit card. It will be on my bookshelf. Next is one that I've seen all over the place, and I'm super excited to read it, is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. I know this one's supposed to be a cozy contemporary romance about a cafe, and because it has pumpkin spice in it, I'm assuming it takes place in the fall and just gives cozy fall vibes. So that's all I really know. That's all I want to know going into it. But yes. Next is another vampire book, of course. It's Vamps Fresh Blood by Nicole Arendt. And I know it is about like a school of the elite vampires, like I guess the families of elite vampires. So I was like, boarding school vampires, wealthy, yes. Next one is another YA fantasy. It is Half-Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is part of the Covenant series. Apparently it's been around a while, but it seems new to me because she's just started reprinting them with like new covers and like the sprayed edges, and that's what spoke to me. Hematoi descend from the unions of gods and mortals, and the children of two Hematoi purebloods have godlike powers. Children of Hematoi and mortals, well, not so much. Half-bloods only have two options: become trained sentinels who hunt and kill daemons, or become servants in the home of the pures. From the same author, I have From Blood and Ash. I don't know anything about this book except that it is a fantasy romance with vampires. Next is a horror/thriller book. It's called Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach. And I've heard from my book bestie Lorelai that this book is really creepy. And it's just like makes you really uncomfortable. But that's all I really know about it. I think it's something like with a childhood, a kid, and strange things happen, but I don't know. I don't know too much. Next, we have Rouge by Mona Awad. I read Bunny by her, and it was really creepy and very atmospheric. So I'm hoping, because she's so good at writing these like horror feeling books, that it'd be perfect for the fall. And I know this one's about like the perception of beauty and youth, and so I feel like that would be really creepy. Next is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. This is I'm happily getting to read this with my sister and her best friend. Shout out to Ashley and Sam. But we're starting this book in about a week or so. But it is a fantasy book that has dragons in it, and it also has like, it's kind of giving Viking vibes. Like the way that when I read the synopsis, the way that I kind of felt about it was it's like How to Train Your Dragon vibes, but like obviously more adult and more mature instead of being like a kid's movie. But yeah, I'm really excited for that because I also really love dragons in addition to vampires. Next is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I am obsessed with Criminal Minds, and I've heard that The Naturals is a really good series to read if you like Criminal Minds, because it's like teens or young adults who are like super smart, super intelligent, and they're solving these like murder mysteries, and you know, it's giving Criminal Minds, it's giving Spencer Reed. And so I'm like, yes please, because I am obsessed with Spencer Reed. Next is a book that my friend Lorelai has been recommending to me for ages, so I hope I get around to it, but it's When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. All right, so this is a fantasy where I think it's set in like the 1950s, so I guess it's historical fiction as well, but women spontaneously just turned into dragons one day, and it's kind of unpacking that. So it's like maybe explaining why or the effects of it. I don't know a whole lot, but just one day in the 1950s there was a phenomenon where women turned into dragons, and so it's a book about that. And I'm like, okay, feminism, dragons, put it together. I think it sounds amazing, so I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it sooner. Next, because I finally got my special edition in the mail, is Daydream by Hannah Grace. Now, I am so incredibly heartbroken about this because all the reviews that I've seen from all of my favorite book talkers, booktubers, they're talking about how this book is a flop, about how Henry is really different now, and how the chemistry didn't chemistry, and how it was like not super heavy in the romance. And so I'm like so sad, because Wildfire is like one of my favorite romance books of all time, and so I was so excited for this book, and now people are saying it's a flop, and I'm scared. But I'm still gonna read it because Henry is adorable, and I'm still gonna form my own opinion, and who knows, I may love it when they didn't love it. Next is What the Hex by Jessica Clare. I read the first book by her. I can't remember the name of it, but I loved the book. I was laughing out loud at the like enemies to lovers aspect of it, the banter, the witchiness, the fall vibes. It was very cozy. And so this is the second book by her. I believe it's also enemies to lovers, witchiness. So I'm assuming it's like the same level of coziness, just a different couple at this time. And I think they're interconnected standalones, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. Next is also on Kindle Unlimited. It's Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. And this is like the enemies to lovers. All I know is like a witch and a witch hunter have to work together. So there's like lots of tension and like pining and, you know, drama that happens. So that seems like it'd be fun for this fall. Next is Love Letters to a Serial Killer by Tasha Coriel. And so this woman starts writing a supposed murderer while he's in prison. Like he's accused. I don't think he's ever proven guilty, but she starts writing him all these letters, and then one day he writes back, I think. And when he gets out, you know, he comes to live with her because he doesn't really have anyone, I don't think. And then she's unsure if he's actually guilty or not. So she's kind of playing like a double agent, being like, yeah, I love you. And also being like, are you guilty? I think. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. Next is The Silence of Autumn by Leanne Cotton. I know this book based on like recommendations I saw on YouTube and BookTube. It's like a Halloween murder mystery, and it's supposedly like really cozy but also like a little creepy. Plus the cover looks so cute, so I'm excited to read that this fall. Next is one that seems so fun, and the cover is pink, but it's How I'll Kill You by Ren DeStefano. So there's identical triplets who have they have the nasty habit of killing their boyfriends. And what happens when the youngest commits their worst crime, falling with her mark. So it's like they kind of follow this recipe. Make him want you, make him love you, make him dead. So apparently one of them starts to fall in love with the dude, and she doesn't want to kill him. So I think tension's gonna happen and stuff like that. The other sisters might intervene, but I don't know, it seems good. Plus the cover's pink, and so it seems cutesy but fun at the same time. Next is episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This is also on Kindle Unlimited. So Fade to Black is the newest hit ghost hunting reality TV show. Led by husband and wife team Matt and Claire Kirkland, it delivers weekly hauntings investigated by a dedicated team of ghost hunting experts. Episode 13 takes them to every ghost hunter's holy grail, the Paranormal Research Foundation. This brooding, derelict mansion holds secrets and clues about bizarre experiments that took place there in the 1970s. It's also famously haunted, and the team hopes their scientific techniques and high-tech gear will prove it. But as the house begins to reveal itself to them, proof of an afterlife might not be everything Matt dreamed of. A story told in broken pieces, in tapes, journals, and correspondence, this is the story of episode 13 and how everything went terribly, horribly wrong. Oh, it seems so spooky. Like, I got chills just reading that. Next is a cozy fantasy, and it's The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I know that it's this very introverted librarian, kind of. She watches over like all these magical tomes, I think. And she's very, very, very shy, very introverted. She has like, I think, an animate spider plant that keeps her company. But something happens with this library, and she is forced to take sacred tomes and retreat to like some island far away. Next is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This is I think it's a young adult fantasy, if not fantasy. Irene is a professional spy for the Mysterious Library, a shadowy organization that collects important works of fiction from all the different realities. Most recently, she and her enigmatic assistant Kai have been sent to an alternative London. Their mission, retrieve a particularly dangerous book. The problem, by the time they arrive, it's already been stolen. The next is a classic, because you have to read at least one classic every fall, at least in my opinion. But I want to read The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. But yeah, it's the epic tale of wrongful imprisonment, adventure, and revenge. Next is Daisy Darker by Alice Feedy. Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. Finally back together one last time, when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, as a storm rages, Nana is found dead, and an hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present mystery as well as their past secrets before the tide comes in and all is revealed. So we have a murder mystery where they're trapped. Scary. Next is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. This is on Kindle Unlimited, and I know that it's a gothic fantasy / romance. I know it's very dark. I don't really know anything else about that, but I want to keep it that way because I feel like when you go into gothic fantasies, going in a little blinds is more fun. Next is a book I'm so excited for, and it finally came out, is Immortal Dark by Tigest Gurma. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. But this is like dark academia, secret society with vampires. So that's all I know, and that's all I do want to know. But I've seen so many booktubers get the arc for this, and they're talking about how good it is and how atmospheric it is, how dark it it's the dark academia is dark academia-ing, if that makes sense. So I'm extremely excited for this book because I love dark academia vibes and I love vampires. So the fact that they came together to have a baby, which is this book, I'm so excited. I'm for sure reading this one this fall. I'm making it happen. Next is The Umbra King by Jamie Applegate Hunter. This is also on Kindle Unlimited if you're interested. Morally Grey don't want redemption. They want retribution. After the brutal murder of her twin sister, Aurora Rory Raven spends years forging herself into a ruthless vigilante killer. She never gave up her search for the man who killed her sister, but when she is convicted of 13 murders and sentenced to 500 years in Vincula, the prison realm, she knows her sister's death will never be avenged. After arriving in Vincula, Aurora discovers her opportunity for retribution is closer than she thought. Caius is the notorious Umbra King, ruler of Vincula, king of the monsters and the thing nightmares are made of. After being locked in his own realm for a crime he didn't commit, his only focus has been revenge. But when Aurora drops into his throne room, representing everything he despises, they begin a game of cat and mouse, and before long their hatred turns into something else. Circumstances draw them together, but revenge might tear them apart. Next is a very basic book because everyone and their mother has read it, but I feel FOMO and I want to read it. It's Babel by R.F. Kuang. Once again, it's historical fiction, fantasy, dark academia, collegiate studying books and things like that. It's a hefty one, but I've heard it's really good. Next is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. I know this is a dark gothic fantasy romance, or romantasy as you will call it, but it has really good ratings on Goodreads. Out of 19,127 ratings, it is a 4.3 stars. So I think a lot of people really love this book. It's also on Kindle Unlimited, if I have not said that already. Standalone dark academia gothic romance. That's what it says in the description. Love it. Is Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. It's apparently a romance epic fantasy trilogy, but this is book 1, and so it's about dragons. The humans betrayed the dragons, they stole their magic, and they banished them to a dying world, and centuries later their descendants worship dragons as gods. But the gods remember and they do not forgive. Apparently there's a male dragon that's disguised as a human. So I don't know, I'm really excited to read this one, but apparently it's LGBT, it's romantasy, it's dark, it has dragons, so I'm sold. Next is, I think it's a children's book, but oh well, It's called The Whisperwicks, The Labyrinth of Lost and Found. Yeah, it's a kid's book. So it says 11-year-old Benjamin Creek believes in science, logic, and the power of reason. He definitely does not believe in magic, but when he receives a mysterious gift in the post, a doll that can transform into a bird, he is led into the impossible and most definitely magical world of Reathen World, where dark secrets are lost amongst a vast labyrinth of streets. Benjamin soon finds himself swept along in a dangerous quest, led by the fierce and brilliant Isabella, who is determined to solve the disappearance of her missing brother. I thought this just seemed really cute and fun. Next, we have Some Shall Break by Ellie Marney. This is book 2 of None Shall Sleep. And I'm really excited to read this one because I gave book 1 5 stars. She is a survivor of a serial killer. And she goes into interview like a serial killer because they think that it would like shake up the serial killer. And that was at least book 1. And it was very good. And I just churned through it really quickly. And so this is supposedly the sequel, and so I think maybe she's coming back to do it again. Next, I want to read everyone's heard of it. I want to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the King of Scars duology, as well as Crooked Kingdom, because I read 6 of Crows, but I want to finish that whole universe of books by Leigh Bardugo. I watched the show on Netflix and ate it up. Shout out to Lexi. Another book I want to read is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. I finally just recently watched the movie with Johnny Depp, and I really liked it and the vibes that it gave, so I feel like I'm hoping the book is really similar. Plus, it's a classic, and I feel like reading that around Halloween time would be perfect. Next, I would love to finish out the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So I read the first one. Now I just need to read book 2 and 3, which is Good Girl, Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. So those 2 I need to read because I heard that it just keeps getting better, and I really liked book 1. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. So I really liked book 1. Next, I want to read, I have a lot of Stephen King books on the shelf behind me, but I want to start chipping away at them. So I would like to read The Shining and Carrie by Stephen King, because I feel like those are classics of Stephen King. So I would love to get those out of the way, put them on my belt to say that I've read them. Another series that I really want to read is The Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan. It's the spin-off series to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and I really loved that series, so I would love to continue on and read the next 5 books called The Heroes of Olympus. And my boyfriend Jaden wants to read those with me, as well as one of my book besties, Lorelai, so maybe they will join me if I read those this fall. Who knows? And last but not least, I want to finish reading the Harry Potter series. I'm reading book 3 right now. I'm in the middle of book 3. Well, I don't want to say in the middle, but I'm like 25% through book 3, and my sister just finished reading all 7 of them, and so she's really been poking me with a hot stick, telling me to finish this. So hopefully this fall I will get to finish that series. This video is very long. It's gonna take a lot of editing. It took a lot of research, me going through all of my stacks of books, and there are for sure ones that I have missed. So if you can think of any other perfect fall reads, please comment them down below. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me for this fall video, my first fall video on this entire channel. Yay! I love you. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope your reads are great. I hope you have an amazing fall season. And yeah, let's kick off fall. Okay, bye.